Hello, everyone. This is your host, Dr. Tomi Mitchell from the Mental Health and Wellness Show. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Rosenna Bakari. She is an empowerment psychologist and founder of her wellness consulting practice. She's devoted to helping individuals and organizations live with clarity, courage, and purpose. In 1996, she published her first book, Self Love, developing and maintaining self esteem for the Black woman, stepping into the wellness arena as a trusted voice for underserviced and high functioning communities. Her work integrates lived wisdom, mental wellness, and empowerment practices that promote alignment rather than performance. She recently released her seventh book, Seven Exits: Leave Behind What No Longer Serves You, a groundbreaking framework that guides readers to personal freedom. Dr. Bakari's mission is simple: help people live better, not just feel better. With no further ado, Dr. Bakari, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
I am too, and congratulations. Seven is a great number. You've released seven books, and you've been doing this for quite some time. So this is quite amazing. Is there anything that's outside your bio that you'd like to share with our listeners so they can get a better feel for your heart and who you are?
Oh, I appreciate that question. Just that I really have, I'm not a writer. I really try to live what I write about, and I really try to write about what I live. That being said, I have a background in martial arts, a background in poetry, a background in many things that contribute to living well, not just reading and taking care of your mind, but really trying to get into the whole self to have the most meaningful life.
Got it. No, that's good. And I like that because it's authentic. When we write in areas that we have lived experience in, it gives us an edge, an angle. It helps us to often connect more with our clients and the people that we serve because we have that authenticity, which is really important.
Yeah. And one of the reasons that I do this work, and one of the reasons I moved from the classroom to doing this work as an entrepreneur is because I found that my educational background and training really did not accommodate for um, lived experiences, right? It was like, here's what you do. If you need a diagnosis, here's what you say when a client enters the room here. So it was so prescriptive that I was doing so much editing to put myself into the work that by the time I did all that, I essentially had a framework of my own. So that's really kind of how the framework came about. So I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited that I live it. Is not something I wrote in a book, but it's something that works for me. Even I find that after completing the book, now it's like, oh, sis, you got some stuff to work on too. You got
Right?
to work on your own seven X's. And so I love that aspect of the work, that it's a living document.
I love it. It's a living document. And you also mentioned something that's dear and heart, to my heart. It's the idea of continuous self-development, self-learning, self-reflection. As professionals, we are supposed to look inwards, right? To look at ourselves. And that helps us show up better in the work that we do. And the other piece you mentioned about, realizing that you had to do your own thing from going from the academic world to being living truly in your in alignment with your beliefs is sometimes you have to leave those boxes. I call them. I'm not saying you call them, but they're boxes, and really branch off so you can truly be authentic and truly share the message you realize that people need to hear without all the labels and without all the scripts, right?
Yes,
And really touch
absolutely.
hearts. Yeah. Awesome. Your work as also mine as well, you really speak intentionally to high functioning people, people who want to do more than, let's say, the average, right? The ones who look strong, capable, composed on the outside. Why is it so important for you to center this group in your mental wellness messages?
So, as I said, a lot of this work is aligned with my own life. And so, my experience as one of those people who looked like I had it all together. And in some ways, I did have it all together. I'll pat myself on the back for a second. But I had it all together in terms of what society wanted me to be. And there's something to be said for that. But again, that doesn't mean that I was living in alignment. And there's a difference. The
Yes.
reason is and it was difficult to find support in that. And when I did find support, it was outside of the traditional realm of help seeking. And so I always noted that to myself, there's something missing in the traditional realm of help seeking. And so um, it was important because people like me get to be leaders, right? These high functioning people, if we're not centered in wholeness and wellness, then what does our leadership look like? And I see
Thank you.
so much of that now. And I know you do too. You're like, you lead, right? You
Yep,
lead
girl.
carrying all that
Yep.
baggage.
Oh
And
yeah.
so we don't get a lot of invitations though. Like people are always telling you the basic things like how to network or how to choose your friend, like or how
Oh,
to set boundaries. High functioning people know how to set certain boundaries. So I needed to put something into the world that was an invitation for people who already are getting the accolades but don't get the invitation. So that's why I wrote Seven Exits.
100%. That's a needed niche in society, a in society, right? And to all the leaders out there, whether in a managerial role or executive role, whatever role, even those without the like the formal roles,
Yep.
this is going to be an important message to listen up because we're all leading. Even in your home, you're leading. You might not see if you have little people around you, family around you, they're watching. You have a right?
Absolutely.
You can truly make an impact. But as you said, so many people maybe struggle with that term, don't know how to lead or don't have the tools to really take them up to the next level. And this is needed now more than anything in this world. We need good transformational leaders. We need people who
Yes.
are functioning whole inside, right? So
Yes.
that they can
Yep.
deliver some stuff that makes sense, right?
Yes.
We're not going to claim
Absolutely.
names, but I'm just saying we need whole people leading who are strong on the inside out. So, okay.
Right.
Now, your newest book, congratulations again, Seven
Thank you.
Exits, you encourage your readers to be more self-centered. And this is a term that many people associate with selfishness rather than wellness. So, what do you mean by self-centering, and why is it essential for mental well-being?
So I love to play on the terms, and in general, am I right? I love to play on
Yes,
terms because I like to shake up what people believe that they know about the world.
I
And so
agree.
when the idea of self-centering is about putting yourself at the center of everything, not selfishness. Because when we are at the center of everything, it gives us the most control in our lives. Now, here's the thing: when people hear that, uh, they'll think that that means setting boundaries and that means telling people what you will and won't do. It's like, yeah, and it means when things go wrong, who you look at?
Yourself.
Self.
Mm-hmm.
When things go
Yes.
right, who you look at? Self. When
Goes
you
both
want
ways.
change, who you look at? Self. So,
Yeah.
so the self-centering, when you center yourself in every solution to every problem or concern that you see or come across, you use it as a point of self-development.
Yes.
Then you start manifesting the life that you want.
100%. Where we have agency in our lives, we get to decide the trajectory our lives are going to be, right? The path. We take ownership for the good, the bad, and ugly versus just only the good and blame everyone else for the
Right.
bad, right?
Right, exactly.
That's important, right?
And
So,
it's so powerful.
yes, of
People
course.
don't realize how much power is in taking responsibility for your own life. And even where it's uncomfortable, and even where You want someone else to shift because it always feels like someone should do something different. And that may be true, but we don't get to control that part. And so when we take responsibility for controlling that which we can, which is only ourselves, so it may be our emotional response, it may be our physical movement in that space, it may be but the solution is within. I promise you, it's going to start within, not by trying to control someone else who's related to that situation.
100%. And that's key. You have so much power in the situation. It's empowering, frankly. You realize that inside of you, you have those skills. And not only that, you can also develop the self to get through the situation, right? You might be in a
Yes.
situation that's like, this sounds good, but I don't maybe have this skill and this skill. But guess what? You can do self-development to learn, to take courses, to like apply yourself. You could, in the health field, as a physician and coach, I talk about building one's resiliency, building one's toolkits, building your power. You can become stronger. You're not limited in your ability. I don't
At
believe
any
that.
age.
At any age. I tell my patients, at my age, I actually have more energy than I did in my 20s. I have more
Yep.
focus. I have more laser, like, I'm able to see a problem and quickly start thinking of solutions. It's like brainstorming on like just like rapid, 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 rapid. But that's a process that have like it's taken time, but I'm building self. So with mental health for me and physical wellness, they're interchangeable.
Right.
Or
You said
spiritual
something.
wellness. Go ahead.
Sorry. You said something super important. You said you're able to see a problem and start thinking of solutions creatively. And
Yes.
so if we go back to the self-centeredness, that's because you've done that before. That's because when you see the problem, you're looking within. That's super important. But if every time I want someone else to change when
Yeah.
there's a problem, I never develop that skill of
Yeah.
seeing because there's a gazillion people. I have to fix a gazillion people. But
Yes.
every time I self-develop and learn those creative ways to shift, to have difficult conversations, to think creatively, like you said, I'm building myself up. So now as I come across problems, I already know how to solve that. I've done it before. I've taken responsibility for that before. And so I begin to build a wealth of problem solving tools over time.
Exactly. And that's I love what you said and how you built on what I said as well. So like when one looks at challenges in life, one can reframe and see them as an opportunities to build that toolkit. You get to work out. This is your Olympics, right? You may not win first place, but guess what? By getting bronze or silver or not even making the podium, you learn some things. So take those setbacks, quote unquote, and use them as your setups. Because for me, my life was not like rosy. It was rough growing up and even in adulthood. But guess what? I turned those situations into a playbook. I got tools, I got skills that no university taught me, right? Life taught me.
Yep.
And to the leaders out there, I feel like they need to know like there's stuff you're gonna learn in your formal education, which is great. It's a great foundation. But the stuff you're gonna learn in life, and you gotta play both, right? You have to be willing and open to look within. And like you said, Dr. Bakari is to be self-centered, to be self-centering. You know, that analogy with flight attendants when if there's in the event of an emergency,
I love that.
the mask will be deployed, drop, place it on your own face, put the straps over your shoulder, over your ears before you help the person next to you. Okay? Because if
Yep.
you're passing out, how are you going to help them? Right? So that's really important. It's really important. And it's from a place of clarity and kindness and love, to be honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the and so in the book, for the framework, what it essentially lays out are the seven X's, I call them, that are really psychological energies. When we exit these,
Yes.
then it leaves us with self-centeredness, being centered in ourselves. So that's essentially what the book is about.
Do you mind giving our listeners a little hint of those seven exits?
I sure will. I'll run through all
Okay.
seven of them
All
with a
right, let's do it.
sentence, right?
Let's do
And
it.
so the first one is hyperego, and it's
Okay.
super important. Like you could pick up the book and read any of them and get something out of it. But I always emphasize how important hyperego is because if you don't address the hyperego, then it's really difficult to get to the other ones. The other ones you can kind of play with, but if hyperego is taken over, when you are afraid to be seen, when you are in protection mode, survival mode, which many of us come into adulthood that way, then it's difficult to get to the other one. So the first one is hyperego, learning to leave behind your hyperego so that your authentic self can arise and you can begin to develop these tools. The second one is silence and secrecy. Because, woo, when we are carrying that heavy baggage of silence and secrecy, then it's difficult to get to our authentic self. No
Yes.
matter what those secrets are about or whatever that silence is about. Because again, silence and secrecy often tags on to hyper ego. If you feel like you're going through life with something to hide, then you have a different personality.
100%.
Right?
100%.
The third one is emotional dependence, just what it sounds like when we are overly reliant on external validation. The fourth one is stagnant relationships. And that's a super important one. And it really goes in depth in the book because what I have seen in my practice, and you may be able to testify to this, one of the biggest weights that we carry is stagnant relationships. People don't want to separate or move from those that they feel like they have some natural obligation to
Yes.
support,
Yes.
whether it's through their families or their work organization. Even some people, they swear their job would fall apart if they're not there. So they go and
Yeah.
sit. So what are those stagnant relationships where it's an imbalance and you're not getting what you need to keep your cup full? The fifth one is complacency. Ooh, that's a big one. As complacency is especially important for high functioning people because we think because we have the income, we have the title, we have the leadership
Mm-mm.
that we are where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not
Nuh-uh.
necessarily.
Mm-mm.
So we
Yeah.
have to really look at, are we doing the work that really aligns with us, that we want, that fulfills our purpose? We have to consider that. And then indoctrination is number six. Are we refreshing and updating
Mm.
our views of the world,
Our
or are
map.
we living in a state of indoctrination where we're
Yes.
just recycling outdated information? And then the last one surprises people because it is passion and purpose. Now,
Mm.
we all want to live with passion and purpose. The challenge that I see is that we know those people who live for passion and purpose, right? Or these people who believe that, oh, the only problem I have is that I don't have my passion and purpose. Mm-mm. So we have to exit out of this idea that finding your passion and purpose is going to make you whole. You already whole, baby. You
Yeah.
already whole.
Yeah.
Become whole so your passion and purpose can arise. But when we start seeking passion and purpose, then we are out of purpose. So those are the seven X's.
That sounds great. So let me ask you, instead of seeking passion and purpose, what should individuals seek?
Wholeness and alignment.
Wholeness and
Really,
alignment.
alignment. And the thing about alignment is it requires a lot of work because if you are so shielded from who you are organically, authentically, spiritually, then you don't know what to align with. And
Yes.
so some people are aligning with their family, some people align just with religion, right?
Yes.
Some and not spirituality. Some people align with their jobs, some
Yeah.
people, and so some of that, and it's not that you need to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but it's that you need to spend some time really understanding who you are, what your natural flow is, where not where your comfort zone is because you have not had any challenging experiences because you stay where you're comfortable, but where your comfort zone is that I'm getting to that place where I am natural and free. There's not a me who goes to work and a me who stays home. There's not
Mm.
a me who goes to the club and a me who stays home. There's not a me. Like you have eight different me's.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so when you find your organic, authentic self, then you're comfortable. You don't have to do so much shifting. One of the
Yeah.
things I teach when I'm consulting, for example, in this concept, sometimes people are exhausted at work because they're working two jobs because they
Yeah.
leave their organic job of themselves to come to work and be somebody completely different.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
mentally exhausting. You're
Yes.
already behind the eight ball if you had to leave everything to go to work. And so you come in carrying a heavy load. So
Yeah.
sometimes what people ask you to do seems heavy. They didn't ask you to do something heavy. You came in heavy, right?
Yeah.
And so how do we get to the point where we are our most organic self most of the time? That doesn't mean we don't have different responsibilities. We do. Or we shift according to what a task requires, but I don't feel like I have to leave myself to be somewhere else.
That's really important. You know what came to mind when you were talking, and I was also thinking about your bio. Your first book was self-love, that developing and maintaining self-esteem for Black women. And I think of Black women because I am one, and you are too. We often do this thing called code switching, right? We try to put ourselves, change who we are to fit into these cultural norms. And we're not asking you necessarily to change who you are. You can still show up as yourself, not bringing yourself down just to make yourself feel small so people feel more comfortable around you, right? You can show up in
Right.
your authentic self, and that I think it takes practice, it takes clarity in how to do that, but it's so powerful. You know, in my work, I show up as me, all layers of me from all the places I've lived, a little bit of you European influence, American influence, Canadian, Caribbean, like I bring it all in my true self, and it's powerful. And it's really important for people to recognize who they are. Like you said, your North Star, I call it North Star, right? It's like
Yep.
getting on a in your car and going on a road trip and not knowing where you're going. You're just going here, this exit, I'll go 80, I-85, I'll go here, I'll go there. You go nowhere. But having that clarity is so important. And then making sure that your relationships and things around you are in alignment with that vision, that journey that you want to be on.
Exactly. That alignment is so important. That is the key word. Am
Yeah.
I in alignment with myself?
Yes, exactly. And that's a word I use even in the work I do when I talk about the the framework. I'm not going to share it today, but it's called the anatomy of alignment. And it's important. So if as listeners you don't know who you are or what you're doing, you're just there paying bills, I'm sorry to say, you're probably going to be struggling, right? You're not going to be
Right.
functioning at the level that you should be doing. You may be struggling with your mental health. You may be struggling with many other things, with time and just feeling frustrated because there's not clarity. You're all over the place. But there's a time and place where we need to stop. And this may be your time and place as you're listening to look at where are you in life. I know it's not too late to take the exit and take a pit stop, maybe, reframe, figure out a plan, and then get back on the road. So, and I know in your work you talk about transformation isn't about arrival. Just like we say, success isn't a destination per se, it's a
Right.
continuous journey. So it isn't about arrival, but leaving what no longer serves us. And this may be touching a spot to some of our listeners if they're like, that's me. They're stuck at one spot in one relationship, in one situation, and they know it doesn't serve them. So how can listeners recognize when it's time to exit something in their own lives, but still make that departure still powerful, right? And still get to the right path of wellness. So how can they first know when it's time to stop and get out? How can they recognize it?
Yeah. So when we come back to the self and alignment, that's always the question. If you know that this is probably not gonna help me on a path to who I want to be or where I want to go, then start to make note. One of the things we have to get used to is the concept of time again, because all this technology has shifted how we see time. And oftentimes we want to microwave our lives.
Yes.
And so when you see something, I always say, see it, like see it fully. I always ask my clients, okay, you're having problems with your job. Like, let's explode that. Let's make it really big. Like, let's just really focus on it so that you can be in that problem,
Yes.
be present so you can see it. And when you're, because you sometimes you have to blow it up really big for you to see
Yes.
yourself in
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Because when you look at it from a distance, it just looks like everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
oh, when I blow the picture up, there I am, right there in it.
Yes.
Right. So asking you, whatever you are uncomfortable in, center yourself in that. How am I showing up in this circumstance? How
Yes.
am I responding to it with my words? And how am I responding to it non-verbally?
Yes.
How am I reacting to it? Because sometimes we only look at what the other person is doing. And
Mm.
when you understand that, and you can, it's not until you can really see where you are in that, are you going to be able to make a powerful shift. Because
Yes.
here's the thing, if you don't blow it up enough to clearly see yourself in it, you'll leave that, and what's going to happen? You're going to
Mm.
recreate it.
Mm.
You're going to recreate it. And so
100%.
that's the point of making sure that you see where you are in that. Because again, we're not talking about the fact that the other person or people may not be wrong. They may be dead wrong,
Oh
but
yeah.
you don't want to give them power over your life. You want to find out where your power is in that.
Yeah.
And so I ask people, don't do anything until you're willing to say, aha, here's my contribution to it.
Yeah.
That's so important.
So
If you
important.
cannot say, aha, here's how I'm contributing to it, it's going to be difficult to leave in a powerful way. You'll leave angry. You'll leave feeling disempowered.
Yeah.
You'll leave with uncertainties, which may bring you back. So you have to first situate yourself in that so that you know how to leave. And so when you do that, what are you looking for different? How am I going to show up differently in this next space that I am, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's an organization? When I leave here, what do I need to take with me and what do I need to leave right here? Did I move too fast coming into this relationship? Did
Yeah.
I give too much? What did I contribute? So that's the one thing I ask people when how do you know it's time to go? You know that it's time to go when you have situated yourself in the problem and
Yeah.
then you can see the exit. But if
Yeah.
all you're seeing is the other person, then you have some work to do even before you leave.
Yes. 100%. And also, once you see yourself, you self-centered, right? You see how you contribute to this and what you can do about it, and you've used all the options that you can find, and there's still no change, and it's impacting your peace, and then you can say, you know what? I've done my best. This is not giving up. This is called wisdom. I'm going to go on my merry self and be happy, right?
Right. And now you know what that happiness looks like. You're not going to carry the same dysfunction
Yeah,
into the next space.
exactly. And you mentioned whether it's a relationship, personally, intimately, whether it's a work relationship or friendship, it don't matter. It's the same principle that we apply. Right? First
Absolutely.
look inwards, self-center, do the work, even though it might be uncomfortable, and then you can see the exits if need be. See, that's like a masterclass right there. Like that is, that's
And the
really,
goal is peace.
yeah,
The goal is peace and alignment.
yeah,
So know what you're leaving for. The goal, because sometimes we leave just to, make
No, you
people
don't
mad.
just leave just no. Yes, you got to have a purpose, alignment. That's powerful. That's very important. And then here's the other piece for for people who are new to this process, taking these steps is very bold for them. Like it may feel scary. And then even after one takes the steps, sometimes it's that little small party that says, "Are you sure? Do you do the right thing? People can be talking about you." What do you have to say about that, Dr. Bakari?
That's probably true. And then the so what?
Hey, girl, yeah, so what? Exactly.
So what? Because when we're self-centered, then we don't worry so much about what other people are doing. When we're in alignment, even if it doesn't work out, and everything I do certainly does not work out. It does not work out. But it was in alignment, and I can take alignment to the bank any day.
Same
It's
here.
not my goal. There are powers greater than me
Yes.
that determine how things work out or influence how things work out. My job is the input. I never get to control the output, the
Mm,
outcome. I
mm,
control the
yeah,
input,
exactly.
right? What is it that I am putting into this experience? And
Mm,
that's what I align myself with in terms of knowing, what did I do the right thing? Not did it come out the way that I wanted it to. It often doesn't come out the way I wanted it to. Sometimes,
yeah.
thank goodness, it didn't come out the way I
Right?
wanted it
Right? I hear
to.
you. But still like a
This
learning experience and it's something that's in your
right.
toolbox. You can
Right. It's
learn.
not a magic wine.
No.
We get to experience life and the
Yes.
joy of life. This is our playground. We get to be here. If we're lucky, 90 years. Some lucky people get more than that.
Yes.
Most of us don't get quite that much. We get to play. We don't have to be here miserable. And so, how do I get into a space where I just appreciate the experiences that come my way, even when they're uncomfortable, even when they're painful,
Yes.
recognizing that, dang, sometimes life is just cruel. And I've been
Oh,
in that
yes.
experience where I've had a decade of life cruelty.
Oh, girl. Yeah,
Right,
decades.
right. But knowing that even in the midst of that, there are some sparkles, some sparks that remind you it's not going to be like this
Forever.
always.
Exactly. The sun will come out tomorrow. You just have to,
Yes. Yes.
take the faith. Well, Dr. Bakari, this has been a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate you sharing and your wisdom, your experiences. For our listeners who are like, okay, I want to connect with you. How can people connect with you? How can they work with you? Can you share, please?
Sure. I want to share next year, starting in January, I finally did open up the Seven X's Institute. I'm super excited about it. So there are several different types of classes from self-study all the way up to certification if you want to be a Seven X's empowerment partner and different and personal transformation. So there's a variety of offerings in there, but I'm most excited about the personal transformational stuff. So, especially the empowerment circle, where you get to be in a small group of people really wanted to live differently and stuff. So if you go to the Seven X's page, you can be guided there. But if you click transformation dot seven exits dot com, then you'll go directly to that page where all the information is. So that's the website. And if you look at the spelling of my name, rosennabakari.com, that's my personal website. That'll get you there too. But I would absolutely love to meet people and partner with them in their transformation journeys, their leadership journey, their personal growth journey. So I look forward to connecting with people.
Awesome. Well, by the time the show goes live, it will be, God willing, there because it'll be 2026.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
amazing. So we'll have that information in the show notes so listeners can check it out. But definitely rosennabakari.com will be a great place to find your information. Thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Bakari. I appreciate you so much. And our listeners, thank you so much for sharing your most precious resource, with, which is your time. And I don't take that for granted. Until next time, till we meet again, this is your host, Dr. Tomi Mitchell from the Mental Health and Wellness Show. Bye.